Daring night raids by predators like these jackals are an all too common occurrence on livestock farms across the country. And it's this ongoing conflict that has fascinated and frustrated wildlife filmmaker Rob Harrison White for over 11 years.
For 350 years in South Africa, we've been trying to eradicate jackal and caracal, and ostensibly the numbers have increased. So I thought that's quite interesting that an animal throughout all this persecution can actually increase its population. Jackal, I realized...
We first met Rob in 2001 when he started to film and document the persecution of predators on sheep farms. This caracal was caught and shot by hunters on a farm. Over the years, Rob has witnessed and filmed jackals caught in gin traps where they suffer for days with broken bones before dying. He's seen farmers dragging them out of their dens with barbed wire. He's filmed them poisoned, and he's watched caracals shot out of trees. He's seen thousands of other innocent animals like these bat-eared foxes and porcupines inadvertently caught in the predator onslaught. Rob's associate, Dr. Boel Smuts of the Landmark Foundation, believes killing predators isn't working.
We believe the focus should shift away from predator control to controlling and guarding your stock. And that is absolutely key. It's a paradigm shift required.
In the Baviaanskloof, Boel has convinced farmers to leave the leopards alone. And as a result, the number of caracal and jackal has actually declined. Farmer Piet Kruger says it's working.
I think if you've got a leopard that's territorial, it actually protects its area from other predators or other leopards moving in the area.
And the figures from the Baviaanskloof studies speak for themselves.
Previously, before we started this project, there was about 800 sheep losses a year. And with the help of Anatolian dogs and collars that we put on the sheep, it's been dropped down to 60 now.
Our research is demonstrating very, very clearly that non-lethal controls are not only ethically far preferable, but they also biologically far preferable, and very interestingly, the financial data coming off those farms, including the cost of conversion and the results, is demonstrating that it is the way to go.
Here in the Southern Karoo, farmers are reporting a huge increase in jackal populations and subsequent stock losses. Ray Hobson is a third-generation sheep and Angora farmer in the State-Level area. He's at the coalface of the volatile conflict, and he says it's threatening his livelihood.
The jackal problem about 15 years ago started becoming a problem where prior to that the caracal was our main vermin problem. Over the last 5 years it has absolutely exploded.
Ray can lose up to 30 animals a week, and finding a fresh lamb kill is devastating.
We do not see rands and cents lying there. The nauseous feeling of dead young animals that have got no reason to be found dead in that state.
Faced with dead and mauled stock, Ray's forced to take drastic action. He kills 20 to 25 jackal on his farm every year.
We use gin traps, but we are very selective in their use. We predominantly get a certified night hunter who's qualified in his field to call up the jackal.
Petrus de Wet, chairman of the National Wool Growers Association, says predators are the single biggest problem facing stock farmers.
1.1 billion rand is being lost to predators in South Africa every year.
Petrus believes that bigger farms and bigger economies of scale, coupled with new labour laws, have contributed to the problem.
And of course, game farms and game reserves. And these animals are coming in from them.
He maintains the only surefire solution is lethal control.
Fence your property in and eliminate all the predators on your property. That's the only 24/7 solution to this problem.
We've been attacking jackal and caracal specifically with a range of armament. So for me, we were missing something.
This realization set Rob on a research path that has consumed him for the past 4 years.
I decided, let's go back to the animal itself and start looking at the behavior of the animal, because probably that could help us. Because certainly the way we're going for the last 350 years hasn't.
It's here in Madikwe Game Reserve that jackal expert Rob Harrison-White made a rather unexpected discovery during last year's Springbok lambing season. A discovery that could change the way that farmers view predators like jackal and caracal. Rob darted and collared 39 jackal in Madikwe to gather data on their behaviour and movement.
So what we were trying to research is what mechanism is there naturally that controls jackal in a protected area, because that might give us a clue of how to handle them back on the farms.
He plotted GPS data onto maps, illustrating their territories.
What we did specifically with the work in Madikwe is that we watched the Springbok lambing, and with the territorial pairs that we had, we were trying to see if, with this food supply there, did other jackal just march in and grab what they wanted, or did the territorial pair stop them going into that territory?
Rob's had first-hand experience of the territorial nature of jackal.
I've had 2 jackal just attack me. You can see the wound on my arm here. Here's the female, and this is the male here. You can see them circling me. The female's coming into estrus, the male's trying to protect her, and she's also trying to protect her territory. They see me, because they're imprinted, in other words they're tame, as an intruder.
Rob's captured the theory in action. This is J13, the territorial male on the plains where the Springbok were lambing. He's not stalking prey, he's actually spotted an invader on his turf. He aggressively attacks the dispersal jackal, forcing him to hit the road.
Territorial pairs stop other jackal moving into their territory, even with a food supply there.
Now, if jackal protect their territory and their prey in parkland like this, would it also apply on the farms? Now, not everybody seems to agree.
Now, my farm looks a hell of a lot different to what a game reserve, Madikwe, or what Kruger Park looks like. And the animal's behavior is also different on my farm to what it is inside that game reserve. Its diet is completely different.
We've got a generation of jackal that have changed their menu, whereby it's a lot easier to find Angora goats and merino sheep, or any sheep.
Rob thinks we need a radical shift in our thinking. He'd like to see more farmers using non-lethal methods like shepherds, guard dogs, and protective collars to keep the predators at bay.
Farmers are already farming without gin traps, without dog hunting, without poisons, successfully. We've already got data back like that.
And while the predators and the thousands of so-called innocent animals are being hunted, poisoned and trapped, the Department of Environment and Tourism are trying to appease both the conservationists and the farmers, which leaves the policy on these predators in total limbo.
I think national policy has to be formulated on a scientific background. We have the data, and that's where the policy should go.
It's a thorny task. Bernani Madikizela heads up the national task team for damage-causing animals. Why has it taken so long to formulate these norms and standards?
We as a department come in and say we want to strike a balance between food security, because the major problem is on livestock, and of course game farming. Now, we have to get the acceptable, humane, ecological acceptable methods to target species that are a problem.
His department is open to new ideas.
We would like to consider banning gin traps, but we need methods that can substitute and work better than gin traps. In fact, we will appreciate if farmers can join hands with us now and say, okay, let's try this in my farm, let's have alternate methods and see if they work.
While farmers and conservationists attempt to strike a balance, it may actually be retailers and consumers who drive the change. That's because of a predator-friendly label that's due on the market later this year. The wildlife-friendly Fair Game brand is the brainchild of Bull Smuts.
If consumers were aware what goes into the production of rangeland meats, I think if the fashion industry, interestingly enough, where almost 100% of our wool and mohair is exported for the fashion industry abroad, is aware of the production practices that lead to that garment, I think some of the practices would change overnight.
You know, right throughout the world, there's a movement towards, if I want to put it like this, a more green way of farming. And I think the consumer is not aware of all these animals that get killed in the most torturous ways, trying to get their meat on the table, when there are other ways available that the farmer can use to get the same meat on the table.
Rob is putting together a comprehensive manual for farmers on how to manage these predators ethically.
So Rob's got his work cut out trying to convince farmers around the country.
It's murderers being let loose in a maternity home. That leap of faith, I do believe, would be a leap over a bridge.
But Rob's encouraged that there are farmers willing to put his theories to the test.
There's hope on the horizon. There are farmers coming forward. They want help, and we're here to help them.